Right, well, I'm working on a 1992 Dodge Ram 1-ton or D350. Now this is an intercooled Cummins, and I am working on the brake booster today. And what we have is an AutoZone brake booster here, and I'm just comparing apples for apples. Alright, before you go through the trouble to put it in there, it's a good idea to do this. Now, this is the old one, this one's coming out. You don't get a new gasket with the new one, obviously. So I would recommend very gingerly and carefully picking this original gasket off of there from 1992, which is smashed and whatever else. So I'm gonna have to get a scraper or something and work on that. But obviously you could tell that this booster here is rebuilt. It's got a rust on it and everything, and it's painted. I'm sure it works fine. It's no big deal. Just going over some of the details about it. Don't know why it has moisture there, but that's interesting. But it bolts on really easy. It comes off real easy. It just has these 4 bolts. And here the only tricky thing is that little clip. I'm going to show you what that clip looks like. Alright, so there's the 4 bolts, and there is that fancy little clip. You're going to have to bend that tab up a little bit. Let's see here if I can point at it without causing any problems. This little tab, got to bend that tab up a little bit and slide that clip towards it to get it to release. It's kind of a backwards deal. It's not too hard to get off. You just about need 2 hands. The other 4 bolts come out easily. I used an extension that's probably about, I don't know, it's probably about 6-8 inches too long. You can do it with a shorter one. And just a wiggly socket. I don't know if they're metric or standard, but I used a 14. Ain't no big deal, really. It's really not. But that's what it looks like. That's what the hole looks like once you get it. Even though you can tell, there we go. That's what it looks like. Of course, this old truck, you know, it's a farm truck, so it's going to have all kinds of interesting wires and things around. Pay no mind to that. But that's what the bolts look like. That's what the clip looks like. That's what the hole looks like. And the booster, let's look at under the hood. Alright, so this is what we do under the hood. You get that mash cylinder and you take those 2 bolts out. And I would recommend loosening them up with a box-end wrench, 9/16. Loosen them up first if you're going to use an air tool or whatever. It's a very tight fit right here between the end of the bolt and the stud and the socket and everything, and you got to get it way out, so just be careful about that. You can do it with an open-end wrench. It's not that big of a deal. I use air tools if I can, maybe because I'm lazy, right? So I just kind of pushed all this stuff out of the way far enough. If you don't want to get into this cruise control, you can take the bolts out of it, or these 2 bolts, and just kind of flag this guy out of the way enough if you don't want to get into it. But this one, I don't even think it works. But these hoses and all this stuff are going to have to go down a couple of inches to clear the booster, and this is pretty much out of the way all the way. It's coiled up and all this like this from the factory to make it so that it's easily accessible. So that's how it looks. It's got a few vacuum lines on it. There's one here. There's one hiding over here somewhere. One there. A couple of lines there. So that's kind of what things look like. I hope this helps somebody. It's a pretty simple and easy job to do. Take it easy. Alright, so this is what it looks like all together. We've got the brake warning wire and a couple of vacuum lines. Okay, there's a vacuum line going to the vents inside. This is the vacuum line coming from the vacuum pump, and this line here goes to a couple of other switches and things. This one here goes to the cruise control. So some trucks have all this junk, some of them don't. So that's what it looks like. That's our bolts are tightened and everybody's happy. Master cylinders installed, boosters installed. Let's have a look at that clip. Alright, so that's what that clip looks like when it's installed. This is almost impossible to do with one hand, but you need to raise that little tab up and push it towards it. And that tab slips over the top of that little nodule there. And that connects to the brake pedal. That's what all that